too much. The one thing that I like to follow is to follow what Tuba John and Merengue John started talking about issues, especially Tuba's discussion of the interior organization. There's so much. The one thing that I want to say before I start is that thank you, girls. You have done amazing work. You have opened a conversation that we will talk about issues of what is going to make this very tight space work for the woman that who goes there. Now, I'm not going to repeat all the things that have already been said, but there are a few things that I'd like to go over and just make a note of it and see how we go about. The first thing first is this a notion or this idea of the garden. This open space is the only place that it's a private, it's not a public, it's a private space. That's the only opportunity that you have to create a little oasis, a little place that the woman can walk out, sit, talk to each other, have a cup of coffee, discuss issues of life. What you have created right now is the very symmetrical, tight, or and very formal space that does not work. You have to really rethink about a small space and make it a friendlier and more spacious visually and deal with vegetation to make it a comfortable environment for women to communicate with each other. So that's rule number one. Then the other thing that you have to, you haven't really spoken at all, and I'm surprised, is the issue of the setbacks. Uh, the idea here is that the setbacks gave you an opportunity, it's a space. It's not a leftover space, it's a space that you have to use. So I'm talking about these areas that you must really consider how to engage with your design. Even though it's a setback, that means that your neighbor is next door and you have not really discussed or talked about or doing any engagement of these spaces. So that's another thing. Which brings me to the question. The idea of bridge has been talked about. It's wonderful to connect the two sides. I think you have begun to do it. Instead of having it over the garden, why don't you create the bridge here? It's an open space. You walkway. It's a walkway. You walk out and you walk in back in. Treat it. So what it does, it allows the garden to be much wider, much bigger in terms of the space to be utilized. Now, so use those lift or those empty spaces or the setbacks as walkways, open walkways, little gardens. You can do all kinds of things, and you haven't really utilized it yet. Now comes the issue of this very strong access that you have created between the outside and inside. What I mean between the outside and inside is this. Oops, let me just get rid of that uh, to between the outside and inside, how you have created this absolutely amazing access to the garden, and yet it's not experienced. On one hand, you're creating this visual access and physical access. On the other hand, you're denying people. So I don't know why. You have a solid wall there. No one can go through it unless you're a magician. So what I would suggest is the following. Okay, before I suggest anything, I'm going to go to the next level, saying in terms of the organization of the front side. The front side, I mean this area that you have created in this zone here. Let's talk about this zone. I think you are told uh, uh, the administration doesn't have to be male. It can be female or it can be male. It doesn't matter. but I'm glad that you have taken that, embarked on the fact that you're challenging yourself to try to isolate the administration. Now, there are ways that you can deal with it to make this space really, really active visually and physically. But it is really critical that you must make sure that if you're going to have this axis in the center, this wall has to be opened up in terms of glass, so you can walk through it to go to the garden and then come back in. How do you do that? I think you go back to what Tuborjan started talking about, the issue of entrance and reception area. So how do we solve this? I think it's quite the solution is right there. The first thing is to relocate the service, to relocate the reception, and the waiting area. How do we do that? So the best trick is to create a wall in here, right in the center. Create your reception in here as you come in, and then waiting area on the two sides, perhaps. So now, as you come in, you do not see anything beyond the wall. It's very private now. Now, what I would do, I would refigure out this zone here and refigure out this zone here. If you're going to try to keep this very strong axis, which I kind of like that. I think it's a smart thing to do. Now, couple things here. First of all, the meeting room is way too big, is way too large. What you might want to do, you might create a little small meeting or conference room in the middle. Bring all your staff in here, and then develop this area for the elevator, for bathroom, and for other functions that you want to put in, little coffee stand or whatever it may be. Now we have an opportunity that put a beautiful carpet, really gorgeous carpet in the center, so you can walk out and then go through this garden. Now, once you're in a garden, there's another issue here in terms of the circulation. How do you get from this side to the other side? Well, the idea is that you want to really make sure that you go to this area here, which becomes a departing place that takes you to the prayer, to the this yoga room, which is a nice location, and then also to the prayer room. No, you don't have a prayer room. It's therapy. You call it the therapy room, possibly. Now, what I would do, once you have these spaces as uh, therapy room and also the prayer room and the yoga, I know you're facing from yoga to in this garden, but I think you're missing an opportunity. We were talking about this 1 foot setback area. Why couldn't you have a green wall? Why couldn't you have a vertical garden? As you walk through that outside space, you can have this beautiful vertical surface that can be a green wall, can grow vertically. Vegetation can grow vertically. And then I would definitely open up in terms of the windows here and windows here and the windows here. So don't deny yourself the opportunity of vertical surface as a green garden. Now, in terms of overall organization, I think you girls have done amazing work. I really like the idea of how you zone the spaces. Now comes the issue of the exercising pool area. Again, for the pool area and for your exercise room, I would definitely make sure that you have to really explore the so-called the green wall, outdoor green wall, in the 1 foot setback. You have to really utilize that so it becomes a pleasant environment to walk through. Don't deny yourself. Now comes the issue of the swimming pool and the gym. I would suggest the following. Um, to have, first of all, let me have a blue one to indicate it's a swimming pool. First of all, I bring your swimming pool all the way from wall to wall, all the way. And then you have a sort of a waiting area with some kind of a bathroom that you can get in and change your clothes to get to the swimming pool. So that's rule number one. Rule number two that I think you should follow, I know that you have the issue of exercise room. What would happen if you to put the exercise room in this area here, where you have the so-called the therapy? Let me get another color, yellow. What would happen if you have your exercise room in here and put the therapy room and the prayer room upstairs? It makes sense. It's a private space. You just take it upstairs. So those are really my main comments about this assignment that I would love to see. And I absolutely agree with the comments that were made in terms of the amazing inspiration from the that this beautiful woodwork that you got from Murat Khani, which is great. I think it's a wonderful. Carry that language across the bridge. Carry the language across the entire wall as an opening, not as a complete opening, but as a window. It gives you the language of how to treat your vertical surface in the your building, which makes it really fantastic little project and successful project. And I highly recommend you girls to look into. We are talking about the garden. Look into some of the Japanese gardens, small spaces that they treat to create a little haven for sitting and think of what you want to do in that garden. Think and make a decision. Talk to each other. What kind of activity should go in this garden? Then you accordingly design the garden rather than putting these little bits and pieces of flowers and plants and shrubberies and whatever it may. Maybe it's not all grass. Maybe it's just a gravel space with a couple chairs and you have a beautiful tree going up. That Darakhta Sinjit. There we go. How about Darakhta Sinjit going up? You're sitting under it and talking to your friend about their day life, about challenges of what happened last night or day before. Make it friendlier. So learn from your own culture, learn from your own vegetation that exists in Afghanistan. Those beautiful trees of Sinjit trees that they have amazing flowers during the spring. So anyway, those are really my comments, and I hope if there is someone else want to continue, fine. But I hope this gives you a clear picture of what you're about to do. And I think I absolutely agree with Mirangiz John. And I said this before, SketchUp is the greatest tool that, I mean, I use it continuously. You can download it and you can use it online. Or you can buy it. It's only $50, and you can get it through the um, um, our group. I think we can arrange to get you girls if you want to. Some of you have the hack one, which you can use. It's fine, but
There is
I
a
would suggest
web version that you can
there's a
access.
web version. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So use the web version. There we go.
yeah,
And
just
not
find
only
it.
that,
Yeah.
you have the drawings that you can do, you can also go into, I think it's called the market